Soccer Under Construction here on Morning Kick-Around, a segment that comes up, I think, just about every episode now. For context, I'm Robert. He's Jason. Stadium construction and plans are widespread across the country, but a group of former NFL quarterbacks could become one of the new lords of American soccer. They already are building a stadium in Jacksonville. But Blake Bortles, Tim Tebow, John Elway, and the CEO of Chick-fil-A moving their stadium building eyes towards Charleston.
Yeah, this is the story from the Post and Courier out of Charleston, South Carolina. You know, that this is about Charleston, and but it paints this picture of what these guys are doing. Now, again, we covered this because of Jacksonville, and we talked about John Elway and Tim Tebow. We knew Tim Tebow was going to be part or is part of the Jacksonville ownership group, Rob, but we didn't. I don't think we had this sense that there was another entity, another vehicle for investment in soccer that he was part of. And again, here with Elway and Blake Bortles, where did Blake
Former
Bortles go?
Jacksonville. He beat
That's what I thought.
his highlight was beating Pittsburgh in the playoffs.
Okay.
5 years ago.
So they have launched what is called Momentous Sports. This is in partnership, as you mentioned, with the CEO of Chick-fil-A, Andrew Cathy. Can I just ask Andrew to keep your places open on Sunday? Thank you very much. They have joined up with his private real estate firm, Four Stones, and Magnolia Hill Partners, an Orlando-based real estate investment firm. Okay, so look, we got money here. We got investment firms, private equities coming in, real estate coming in, and this only underpins what we've been talking about, that when Justin Papadakis goes public with we're talking to 70 cities, when he talks about the expansion of the USL, when we talk about the 7 teams coming into USL League One, and I don't know, the 6 teams or 5 teams or 4 teams set to launch in USL Championship with 3 or 4 more coming, we're talking about real estate investment. That's what this is, Rob. This is about real estate investment. The quote here from John Elway: owning a team is great. Owning the land underneath it, even better. Momentous has a real strategy that combines both, and that is what drew me in. I have been around a lot of teams, buildings, and deals. Momentous is not just another sports investment platform. It's built by competitors for competitors. And I know that when we talked about Bell Tower last week, we had at least one comment on the channel that was like, uh-oh, okay, here comes private equity, here comes corporate money. This isn't a good thing. Like, we shouldn't paint this as some sort of positive development for American soccer. Now, as I was saying last week, and as I maintain, and as I wrote on my newsletter last week, Jason Davis Soccer Eagle, I'm in an abundance mindset when it comes to American soccer clubs. We just got to start throwing clubs out there to see what happens. We got to reach critical mass on clubs, and we got to start building stadiums so their clubs can become permanent fixtures in their communities. The problem then is, of course, how does that happen? And can it happen without things like private real estate firms and private equity and this kind of money, Rob? Like, that is a big question around this effort that USL is now engaged in, which has attracted Momentous Sports, backed by some former quarterbacks and the CEO of Chick-fil-A.
Kind of funny. The first generation of MLS owned by NFL ownership, and then maybe this second generation of former players coming into the real estate game themselves at a different level. I get a question from the chat asking if this is attached to the Battery. The article references the Battery, but it doesn't necessarily saying they're working together. I think it's a little early because this news is this Momentous group is trying to buy the land to build a stadium in Charleston. Marley Hughes, CEO of the partnership, told this newspaper, Post and Courier, it can't publicly comment on the exact project, but he can confirm that Momentous is in discussions around a potential catalytic opportunity in Charleston. Charleston is one of my favorite cities in the world, and it would be an honor to bring the project here that delivers both community benefit and lasting impact.
Okay, I hope it involves the Battery, because it should involve the Battery, because the Battery are Charleston's soccer team. Let's just be very clear about that. I would also like to give Marley Hughes, who I don't know, a piece of advice. When you give quotes that you expect might be read by soccer fans, don't say things like potential catalytic opportunity, right? Because again, that immediately leads us to being extremely skeptical about the motivations here. And even if you say we care about the soccer, when it's about the money and it's about the real estate, there's reason for us to be worried about this, right? From the heart and soul perspective of soccer fans. Now, I wanted to also bring, because I wanted to give people a sense of this. I want to give you a look at their website. This is Momentous Sports website. Now, that nothing dramatically I mean, I don't know if
Those
this is
guys are having a
if
good
this is
time.
real footage. We've got what is this? That's Wembley, right? We're just
That,
taking, isn't that Wembley, or is that
that's
some
that
other?
it's definitely taking cues from Wembley if it's not it itself. It
I
definitely
mean,
didn't look American.
I don't know all the stadiums by sight, so my apologies. Now, here we have what looks to be a soccer stadium. What soccer stadium is this? What is that? This is Sporting Clubs Jacksonville. So this is a rendering on their front page of the Sporting Club Jacksonville stadium that they are backing, intending to build in Jacksonville. Now, I should also mention, in addition to Charleston, Omaha, Nebraska gets mentioned in this article as well. Now, obviously, Omaha has their own team in USL League One. They've been hoping to build a stadium for a while. If you go read the Reddit comments on this news about Elway and Bortles and Tebow, people are saying that Union Omaha should be playing in a different stadium, and they just don't have the relationships in Omaha to make it work the right way, and that their minor league baseball situation is not good. Obviously, that's part of the problem here is we have these clubs that can have success on the field, can entrench themselves in the community, but they really need their own buildings. A new asset class. Oh man, here we go. A new asset class.
Oh boy.
Rob, a new approach. Now, should we
There
throw the baby out with the bathwater here? Like, should we reject this? Because this is obviously this website is aimed at investors, which you and I are not. I don't have the kind of cash to throw at building a soccer stadium.
Are
But if
you
we
saying
were,
soccer people aren't just like engorged by the thought of a catalytic opportunity?
did you say engorged? I don't know what that means in this. I'm certainly not feeling engorged at the moment.
It's a
Now,
little early for that.
let me read this because I think it's important to get the tone of this. And again, catalytic opportunity. Most investors focus on either the team or the real estate. Now, do you think that that's true right now? That there are some investors who care about the team and some investors who care about the real estate and whatever the team just comes along for the ride. You think that's true, Rob?
I think it's an individual case by case basis, like our conversation with Boise a couple weeks ago. It definitely seems like there was a team, a club, and a community that are building a stadium, and there's some places where they're building a stadium and trying to build a club around it for sure.
Okay. Most investors focus on either the team or the real estate. We saw what others overlooked, the untapped value in pairing both. Nobody saw that before, Rob. They're the
Nope,
first ones to see
not a
it.
man, not a single.
That's why we built Momentous, a platform uniting ownership, real estate development, and operational strategy under one roof. We target thriving communities with strong fan passion but underdeveloped sports infrastructure, unlocking exponential potential through the smart capital and thoughtful placemaking.
So
All
the
right.
first part of that, I do agree with that it is underserved, and there's a whole lot more we could be doing with soccer in America. But that second
Again,
part of that is investor corporate mumbo jumbo.
and I said this again in the newsletter. I'll keep referencing. There is do we want to see the sausage get made? Or do we just want the
I think we're
sausage?
peeking in the door of the sausage factory right now.
But is that a thing we should be doing as fans? Do we need to be looking too closely at the sausage making process? Right. And again, we had a back and forth on Detroit because we identified Detroit City, as going after $88 million in tax breaks, other things. Now, some people took that immediately as what the hell? They said this was privately funded. Why are they going for these breaks? And if you go read our comments, because we have people who are knowledgeable and pay attention, somebody said, well, wait a second. This is for the parking structure. This is for some of the other things that they are building that is not the stadium. The stadium is funded by Detroit City FC. There are other things that they are being asked to build as infrastructure around. And when we talked to Sean Mann, he mentioned that like they had to build a parking lot or a parking structure for cars that will be there for people attending the games. And that requires, and for them, that is an extra cost. That's not the stadium. Why wouldn't they go after the tax break? But some people see that, Rob, and go, that's them taking advantage of the community. So is it one or is it the other? Or is it somewhere in between?
I think it's got to be both. I think it's one of those things about grown up life that you have to come to grips with. That it's both really. And I think in our original conversation with it would be a little bit of a malpractice to if those levers are available to get those benefits for large projects and to like no thanks. I think I'll just spend $88 million more than I may have had to. Could be like business malpractice. While I don't agree with money that could have gone to schools or infrastructure, any of the other things that cities need. But if it's money it's not physically being taken out, that's one thing. But it's definitely murky. It's definitely big projects require some things that aren't so pretty, along with the benefits that are fun.
Again, this kind of requires, and maybe we can reach out to Momentous Sports. Maybe they'll put somebody on the air with us to talk about what they're doing, right? But again, I feel like this is a bargain that we're having to make. And I would love to know from our viewers and from soccer fans, particularly in smaller soccer cities, not Major League Soccer towns, but smaller soccer cities, what you make of this. Would you want Momentous Sports coming into your town to finance, to back, to invest in a stadium for your team if it means that your relationship might be a little different with the club? Right. And how this happens, right? If a bunch of wealthy people want to put money into your team and build a stadium, most people will be like, okay, fine, whatever. That's great. Let's build the stadium. And if you don't care about how it happens, then you go on with life. You support your team. You show up in the stadium. It's beautiful. It's for soccer when we didn't have that before. But there will be people who say, wait a second, hold on. Is this really what we want our club to be? Right? Do we want this to be a club that is beholden to these interests? In this part of their website, and this is the how we do it, they mention the Atlanta Braves transformation into one of Major League Baseball's most valuable franchises. And they say this isn't just about on-field success, but strategic real estate development. They opened Truist Park. Remember, the Braves moved from Atlanta or somewhere Atlanta downtown adjacent to the boonies, in effect. I mean, they moved to the suburbs, right? Now, that changes the character of the Atlanta Braves. And we've got soccer teams that do not have the history of the Atlanta Braves. And you're going to say, well, let's do this thing that's going to benefit us as investors. But is that really going to be the right thing for the fans and the existing fans, Rob? Because maybe we go build a stadium and we get 10,000 new fans to show up every week. But what about the people that were there from the beginning if you leave them behind because you've now changed the character of your club?
I think Detroit City, I hate to harp on them, but I think that's a great case study from a team going up the ranks from amateur to the lower reaches of professionalism to the second division, going from a high school stadium to a different kind of defunct rehabbed old stadium, and now, trying to level up to a brand new shiny soccer stadium. They are going through that right now. There was a kind of a fan, I don't know if protest, but some sort, they were withholding some elements of their support for a time being until they could get a face-to-face with club leadership for this reason. The originals didn't want to be left behind. And I've seen a couple comments to this section is the alternative to welcoming in private equity or a large stadium move is the alternative is no soccer. I think most of us would go for the soccer, right? I mean, selfishly. And then so I love Keyworth Stadium. It is probably worth everyone that likes soccer and just live sports in general is a unique sporting experience that, you can't really get anywhere else. But I have to say selfishly, when I have made some trips to Columbus and have got to experience games in their brand new shiny stadium, I got to say it would be awesome to have that in our backyard as well.
Yeah. The phrase that comes to mind is you can't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? Or something
Yeah.
like, I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. Like there is no perfect way, especially in 2025 in the modern era of sports and the way it operates and how it's been monetized and how we as fans are mostly ATMs through which interests extract money. There is no perfect way for us to get things like a pretty new soccer stadium. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. There's no way. I mean, even Detroit City is being beset by these criticisms of how they're going about building their soccer stadium.
Arguably one of the most fan-centric clubs there is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The model of American soccer club growth. Detroit City FC. 5 guys get together, launch an amateur club, play a short season, go from a high school stadium to a different one. They crowdfund rehabilitating that stadium. They create a unique fan culture. They foster a unique fan culture that their fans create. They lean into this identity. All these things happen. They eventually get a chance to go pro. They wind their way through various pro leagues to find the place that makes sense for them. And now here they are on the verge of breaking ground on a brand new 15,000 seat soccer stadium. You're like, what a story. But again, if you're a fan of Detroit City from day one, is this the same team that you started supporting at Cass Tech or at Keyworth?
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, it's within the city limits and it's in a great neighborhood that could potentially add a significant amount of fans to the mix because of the location that they are choosing. But as I seem to always say, we shall see how this all plays out. That about does it for this conversation for now, but keep it going in the comments. There's been some great comments, just like in the Morning Kick Around Discord server, but on the videos themselves. The contributions from the Morning Kick Around community have been fantastic. And because I really want to, I'm going to read the new members that have added this week. Matt Rice, Pablo the Zolo, Josh Nolan, Jacob Olenek, Jason Hoover, Bo Doer, and Chris Cordell. Thank you all for joining in. And if we get a last second one, I'll add your name to that list here.
Oh, okay. You got a couple of minutes before we shut up shop. And what Rob will mention you. I just want to ask everybody if you could share something from the show, like whether it's one of the clipped segments when they go up on the YouTube channel, which usually happens within a day or two of the show. Maybe it's a short. We are trying to get those out there. We're trying to improve our reach on things like Instagram and TikTok. If you see something or you heard something today that you thought was interesting, please just share it. Like post it somewhere, send it to a friend. Soccer people sharing soccer things is what's going to help Morning Kick Around continue to grow.
And we are approaching a year as a channel. I think our first videos came out in November, but our channel started. We just got our 1-year anniversary of the channel being a real thing, and we're creeping up on, probably by the end of the week, we'll hit 500,000 views. And you guys, we could get from 500,000 to 1 million in much shorter of a time, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's go exponential. Let's go faster. Let's speed this thing up, right? Let's continue. Let's grow. More ultras, more soccer.
All right. Do we have anything to note before we get out of here for the day? Was that about all the bases covered?
No, I think that's it. Again, thank you very much for supporting us and for watching. And if you've got stories that you want us to cover, you can hit us up on the YouTube channel. You can find us obviously in the Discord. If you're an ultra, let us know. Find me on Blue Sky at Davis Jason .bsky whatever it is. Just look for Davis Jason and you'll find me. If you tell me you want to talk about something, I'm probably going to talk about it.
Yeah, at mkickaround on all the social media platforms. morningkickaround@gmail.com is the way to get a hold of us via email, or just hit us up in the comments. Become a member. Morning Kickaround Discord server is a great place to chat and get a little more in depth on various topics from local soccer, pro rel, MLS, USL, and much, much more. And we'll be back for another live episode of Morning Kickaround on Wednesday. But until then, everybody, enjoy your soccer.